Now making it again at the end of the year. So wherever she went, she had to deal with Saturn issues and not fitting in and feeling insecure, and not she's not going to enjoy or she was feeling inadequate in her identity. So she went there and then put in a year. There's a lot of growth around it, but there's still a sense of not fitting in. Now December, she decides to come back to Canada, and so here we are in January. She's coming back. So she comes back. It squares Saturn squares the moons on and off. So where she's living and links with family are not going to be so. There'll still be some depressions around that, some restrictions around that, some discontent around that. But Saturn's not the enemy here. It's the balance. It's not balances all the other things. So, and then there's one last hit of Uranus opposed to midheaven. So they're really trying to get stable. If she gets a place now, she'll get a place, but it's not going to be exactly where she wants to be. So she'll get a month or so in that. She won't want to be there. Then she'll want to change with Uranus opposing the midheaven into March, April. And she may go travel somewhere, go someplace else for 3 or 4 months, and then it'll tighten in again. Then she may move again. So she's got another year that's not exactly stable. It's not, she could be stable and just depressed about being here. That would be perhaps a good use of time here. Okay, I got to make a compromise. I got to take this. But then she's still, Uranus got to come and break away the first point. Then the second point is I have to come back and deal with this. So she's having to face her feelings and moods. And her feelings and moods are impulse, the moon in Aries impulse. Saturn squaring it. I see the impulse. I can't do this now. I got to wait. So like there's a delay or a response around this. And at the same time, she's not going to be feeling, she's getting a lot of affection with the Saturn on the moon, or a lot of feeling secure, feeling needed. There's still with Saturn in the first house, squaring the moon, it's still going to come in and affect my identity. How am I living? What am I going? No matter what she did, she's not going to be exactly content with it. But that discontent of this year is raising issues that are affecting her mind to try to figure, well, if that's so, what am I going to do? Where am I going? So like you're going to try and direct her into Saturn going to the first quadrant. Well, there's a lot more, your real studying and learning is what's going on from here. So you got the astrology, you got the thing. So what are you going to do next? Maybe you add some spiritual studies. Maybe you add some psychological studies. There's other things to study to add. And in that process, you still can be writing and making money. But if you make writing the only thing and you're not doing any more studying, your habits will get restricted and you won't be able to study that much. You're not going to be able to write that much. You'll be a little too bored or tedious to do that with the Saturn on the moon. You can do it, but it's not going to be inspiring or exciting. So there's prep work, there's work to be done, there's some foundations to secure. And there's some coming to terms with, just because the Pluto moon, just because all those things happen, I get past that, what am I going to settle with? Where do I want to live? What I want to do? So there's still a lot of Saturn judgments or definition of my lifestyle, my home, my impulses. How do I want to live? What do I need? What do I have to do? And what do I have to do is based on Saturn. I'm not doing what I want. How do I have to do it? So that pressure is there. It's forcing the questions to be asked that could lead her into a way where she adds more skills to her agenda to allow her to write better. Okay. 2020, Saturn squares the IC in the midheaven. Well, that just really, Saturn just is really work and effort. So Saturn, work on the home and family. Work on your lifestyle and your habits, Saturn 2019. 2020, there's work, having to work at things. So there's some things, some practical work, some where one works, what one's doing. Again, she might have a practical job that holds in for 2 years and it may not be exactly what she wants, but it might carry some things. But if it's just a practical job paying for rent, it's not enough. If it's a practical job but allows her to study and to do some other things, then she still has another use for her mind rather than just thinking about the serious side of things. Okay, so Saturn's going to hold her in being responsible and being more serious during this 2019-2020. Not glamorously, there's effort and work to be made. Just like when you change schools when you're a kid, you can't have instantly friends and instant social contacts because you're in a new school. You're going to be the outsider. So if she's coming to another country, Canada again, it's going to take some work to build up where she's going to be, some effort. It takes time to get your circle of friends and network of people around you in a place and to get a reliable network. remembering her Neptune in the 11th. Okay, so you can see Saturn's problem. There's hard work, there's effort, there's seriousness coming into 2019, 2020. And it's all moving below the horizon into the first house of who am I? I'm not in this relationship. I don't feel like here. And if she just gets in a funk and doesn't do anything which is not her, she's too curious for Virgo and too impulsive one in Aries. She's got to do things. She's having to direct what she does to be a little bit more responsible, a little bit more controlled, Saturn to the moon, so that she's growing personally. So there's things that are teaching her how to grow or how to make more of this. But with Saturn below, it's not like she's likely to get the super job with Saturn on the midheaven. It's more likely it's stuff she's got to work, and the job is whatever has to be done to keep her going, to keep her learning. So if she has work and she doesn't exactly like it, she can hold it as long as it's paying for other studies and other writing. Now, at the end of this, when this pressure lifts at 2021, she says, I don't want to put up with that. I don't want to be living like that, putting up with this anymore. There's other adventures. Then she's going to, at some point, there's this big escape that's coming from Neptune. Let me out of here. Or Neptune, some fog or some confusion or temptation or expectation comes in around her thinking. I think with Saturn going below like this and coming up to the opposition, she starts becoming more mystical and more interested in spiritual things, and that will detach a little bit more from the practical associations for a while. So if she was writing and she had practical things, she's being busy writing and doing writing things, it's basic work and discipline through 2019 and 2020. By 2021, she can't keep writing like that. So 2021 and 2022, if she's a writer, it's time to write the fantasy novel or the Harry Potter book, or it's time to go on a mystical journey and start studying Zen and mystical things that are going beyond the mind or going to other questions. It starts being where the mind is a puzzle. So she could be learning, Saturn below the horizon, about mystical things during this 2021, 2022. And in that process, she may decide, well, why wouldn't I go to India and go study it? Why wouldn't I go somewhere to go be learning? No, but she's certainly not going to be thinking that she's fitting in. If she's thinking, I'm fitting in, this is the career, I'm going to set it up, she's gullible. If she's thinking, I'm going to make a big investment in just having this career and just set this up, it's going to be gullible through 21 and 22. And wrong investments could be made. Wrong mental decisions could be made. If she's listening to everybody else telling her what to do, because it's confusion and she's not thinking so straight, at that point, you have to come back and rely on the Saturn. So even though these aspects, the square to the moon and square to the Saturn, they're dealable aspects. Saturn's dealable, but Saturn basically is going below the horizon. So the emphasis on personal growth, on retraining, on adding new skills, and building, like I always tell people, with Saturn for the last 15, 20 years since Saturn hit your IC, you've been going at life in the same way and pushing it as far as you could. And you built, it's like you started planting tobacco, you built up a tobacco farm. By the midheaven, it's making money, it's running. By now, Saturn's innocent, the government's making rules, tobacco's unhealthy, the soil's getting wrecked, and you can't keep planting tobacco, but nothing will make the same much money. So you think, why bother? So you think, geez, I don't want to plant it. I don't even want to plant this. I don't even want to plant the field. I don't even go out there. So I'll put a few flowers around the house. The hell with it, I'll just let it go to seed. So you do that, you plant a few flowers around the house, feeling insecure, you don't want to plant the tobacco. And the field of weeds comes in and kills your flowers. Whew, more depressing. But you can't, she's not going to feel confident over this next year. She hasn't been, so what's new? She hasn't for a while. But this lack of confidence is going to continue for a while. And she's not really going to be motivated. Up till now, she's been motivated getting out of the past. Now she has to find her new motivation. It's going to take 9 years to really find her motivation. And in that process, she has to expand her frame of reference or develop things. If she can put first choices on the line to study and go learn, they become part of her motivation when it comes in, when Saturn hits the IC. So this is the real therapy. You're having to work it to get, you're here. If you're in Toronto, it's a great city full of people studying and teaching anything you want to learn. Somebody's teaching it here. So there's work to be done to get by. That's just mechanical. There's no big extremes coming on it, so it's not that extreme. So she should be able to hold stable during these times around work, because she's feeling a little depressed, not easy, not abundant. And then when the Neptune is working, she's going to want to escape or try and do, I got to do this, I got to do that. But really, that's the time where it's more, maybe I'll get more mystical. Maybe I'll study some, maybe vision. Maybe she had some photography to her writing or some visual or training, other training to it. But the whole purpose of all these aspects now in 2019 till you get up to 2027, 28 is all about personal growth and learning. The direction should be add a skill. No matter where you go, add a skill. So if Neptune gets to Mercury in 2021, she may be adding practical skills, and maybe she takes a break from it and goes add some creative writing or go add some fantasy novel or direct the mind in a more spacey area. And it would give her room to be a couple of years and have the mind in a safe place to be dissolved and open up, to understand faith and vision better, but not to be working with it, to separate that spiritual from the physical. Okay, this is the puzzle. Her question, am I going to make more money? Will I be able to make money just by writing? Right, we'll get the question here. Will I be able to maintain a steady income as a writer this year? It's not asking will I make money as a writer, it's will I make a stable income. Steady income is a crazy thing. Usually writing, it comes in bunches as you accomplish things. But being able to make some money doing that, I think that's, with the Saturn, it's going to take some work, some effort. And because it's Saturn, there's not Uranus, other things, it's more, there's a moderate thing, there's a compromise thing. She might have to write some things she doesn't want to write or that just have to be done to maintain it. So there's, she make a commitment to write something and her moods will be on it and on and off about it. And yet she's supposed to hold in because they'll provide some stability. Eventually the writing, it won't be worth the stability. So eventually she either stabilizes and then, but she has a great mind, but it isn't necessarily tied to where she's living or what she's doing. If she's moving and going places, that's fine. She just has to get in the habit of writing every day, whether she's traveling or not. So solving the home thing is an eternal life thing. Where am I going to live? Moon, Pluto, Neptune, Mars, where do they fit in? There's a puzzle there. But the writing isn't. But you do see this funny puzzle coming up in 21, 22. So to invest in a big writing empire and do everything right now, you could build up a big wave and it could crash or get complicated as Neptune hits Mercury. If she went to school studying one thing for the next 2 years, by 2021, she's going to want to change and go some other way. Not so practical. But if she's writing, she could still do the practical things that's there and start working on a fantasy novel or on a romance novel, on something more Neptunian, and get her mind absorbed in that for a while. While there's not Saturn problems, there's not confrontation, not disruptions, there's just temptations. So this can be used, the Neptune to Mercury, but we have to keep it in mind. Okay, so now we're looking at, so right now we have a bit of a reserve. We see the Saturn to the Moon, which depresses the feelings, and that it's the feelings and the moods, but when you feel good, it's easy to write. When you don't feel good, it's hard to write, it's hard to think. So there's this practical side of where do I live, where I'm going, I'm getting older, what am I doing? These voices are all going on through this year. And the home situation, Saturn to the Moon, she needs to get a simple home, so but they spend a lot to get it, but get a room, get something simple someplace to get by in. Rather, if you push it too much, there's going to be more pressure, it's going to take more work, and it takes so some moderate place to live, where there's not necessarily a lot of traveling, where you can just be efficient. These things are, but Saturn implies working at home, working to get the place, doing. But even for writing, it's practical writing rather than inspirational writing with this. So, okay, now the next thing I did, where are we? Okay, we're going to go an extra 15 minutes with this class. I wanted to show you what I did. I have where is it here? Whoops.